let's ask the elephant in the room, the whatever you want to call it. Caitlin Clark, you were the number one draft pick as well back in your day. You had a lot of expectation on your shoulders. Just tell us the difficulties of coming into the pro league, the differences between playing college, being the outstanding player in college. You go to the pros. Tell me what their first year is like, just so people can understand how difficult. And I have to say, Jewell, as a season ticket holder now to WNBA games, I never realized how intense and physical women's basketball is. I don't know about you, Sam, if you've been to some WNBA games, but my God, like their physicality. So just tell us how hard that transition is.
Yeah, the best way I can explain it, and actually how I explain it to my niece and nephew, it's like if anyone in general goes to a new job, you're always kind of like, what's going on? It takes a minute to get your foot in. It takes a minute to just realize what's going on. At the same time, for me, I came from college. We were living in dorms for 3 years. Now I'm living by myself on the West Coast, Pacific Northwest. Having been an adult, I had to figure out how to grocery shop, all these things on top of trying to learn new plays. My teammates at the time were older than me. They were, with families and things. I'm like, I'm just playing video games by myself. So it's definitely an adjustment, You're learning how to be an adult on top of learning how to be professional. It's not easy. And yes, like you said, it's the WNBA is so physical, and you realize it really is the best league in the world. You're playing against, Olympians. You're playing against the most high level athletes all the time. And so it's not easy. And that's why it's the best in the world. And that's why it's only so many limited spots, because it's so competitive every single night. But yeah, it's always an adjustment. No matter how good you are, no matter if you're coming in from overseas, whatever it is, it just takes time, because you're just coming from college. Like, you're learning a whole another life. You're starting all over. And the best thing to do is just to rely on what is play basketball. The game is the same. So you rely on that. The game will take you where it needs to go. And I think that's the biggest thing with all the rookies coming in. It's always just do what you do and let that take you off the floor.
That's awesome. Moving from basketball to tennis. We know you play some tennis, and I know you play some pickleball. Yeah, we're just saying you're in Seattle. Like, I'm injured right now, but we were going to have a big pickleball tournament in Seattle later this summer. It's been moved, but we'll have to get out on the court one of these days. But were you locked in the last 2 weeks watching the French Open?
Always. Tennis is our family thing. I grew up playing tennis, so I know the game pretty well. And waking up in the mornings before, practice and our games was the best thing. I'm calling my dad, like, get up, the game's on. And it's what we love to do and what we love to watch. So I've been locked in, and it was some great tennis and some great storylines as well.
Yeah, so tell me, Jewell, like your dad, like the history of tennis. Why? Because some people might be listening to this or watching it going, wait, what? Tennis? You? What? So give us more of a background of how you got into it and your family's love of it.
Of course, my dad moved from Georgia to Chicago. His uncle needed a hitting buddy. My dad knew nothing about tennis and started to play. My dad played football and basketball, but tennis was something that was really exposed to him and his family. So his uncle was like, here, grab a racket, we're just going to play. So my dad was obviously really bad at it at the start. Eventually playing over years, he got really good, and he fell in love with tennis. And when he had my brother and I, he implemented tennis into our lives. And I grew up every day playing tennis. I was on the circuit growing up in Chicago. I played for my high school team. I play now still, but it was our family game. We played doubles all the time. My dad and I, my brother and my mom. And then I just fell in love with it. And I always say, I was taught the game of tennis, and I learned all the whys and why nots. And for basketball, I was just good at it. So that's kind of the difference. And it just kind of worked out that way. But tennis is something that I love to do. I study the game. I just, it was my first love. It was my first, implement to sports. And people don't realize how amazing and difficult the sport is. And so the ins and outs of it, as you guys both know. But it's such a great sport. It's such a mental game. And it's something that I still, just devour my time into.
Do you think playing tennis growing up has helped you in your WNBA career? Like, kind of having like the background with the different sports, maybe the footwork, maybe the hand-eye coordination, things like that?
Definitely. The footwork is huge. I don't think people understand how important your feet are when you're playing tennis, but also in basketball. A lot of it's balance, shifting momentum and weight. And so knowing how to do that, coming off screens, it's the same thing. I got to be able to stay low to the ground and use my shift and understand that. But a lot of it's mental. I think that's probably been the biggest shift, is understanding if I'm able to play tennis for 5 hours, 4 hours by myself as a child, growing up, just me and the ball, having to strategize and problem solve, it makes it a lot I'm not gonna say totally easier to have 4 other people on the court with me to problem solve, but it definitely is a weight off my back that I don't feel the pressure all the time on myself. So understanding early age that it's a mental game and challenging your brain in different ways has allowed me to use that in basketball.
Yeah, I love that. Certainly in tennis, we don't have to worry about getting body checked, though. So that is the one. I mean, I don't know, Jewell, you maybe want to stick with tennis. At least someone wasn't going to give you an elbow or like smack your arms down. Now I know why you guys wear the sleeves. I mean, because you guys get scratched all the time. I finally figured it out. It took me all this time.